Okay. Okay. There's no correspondence requiring action. Referrals from council and standing committee. Mayor Carter.
Good afternoon, Chair Gray. I will move that we not disclose the information in regards to the settlement agreements policy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. On the motion.
I'd like a recorded vote on this, and can I speak to it?
Yes, you're next.
Thank you. So I think this is imperative that we have this type of transparency with public funds. I have talked to a few people about this that are in the know in terms of legality of what public funds, would be probably wise to be divulging. And I would point out, first of all, there was a big settlement that this city entered into without a confidentiality clause. And could you imagine if that money that was owed by the city to the region had been kept confidential? It seems a little arbitrary when we have settlements that do have the confidentiality clause. So I think this is a very good motion, and I'm a little disappointed that we haven't really got a report from legal to discuss this further. So I'm hoping that the mayor's motion fails so I can make a referral motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Nicholson.
Thank you. I'm not going to support the motion. This is not to deal with what happened in the past. It's a motion that says in the future the city will not enter into settlement agreements that involve a confidentiality clause. As far as I'm concerned, it is absolutely inappropriate for public bodies to enter into agreements with anyone where the terms of the agreement are hidden from the public. I don't believe in secrecy. I don't believe in hiding settlements. If it's a good settlement and it's a fair settlement, it stands the test of time and stands the test of being reviewed. We can argue until we're blue in the face about whether previous agreements, should or should not have been done, but that's simply a moot point. They're done. They're on record. There's nothing we can do now about them. But we can have a policy, as many levels of government have now, that says at the beginning of any settlement discussions, we'll just let you know right up front, the settlement shall be made public. That puts the onus on both parties to deal with matters fairly, appropriately, transparently, and in the best interests of both the public and the other party. When you have secret agreements of any type, you lead to abuse. You lead to a situation where things are dealt with in secret that would never stand for if it was made public. And I think the public has a responsibility to be made aware of how their tax dollars are spent. Every part of our budget we just passed is public. Every hiring that we make of a staff member is public. Every termination of a staff member, for the record, is public. Where we get into trouble is when we try to do things in secret, in camera, because we don't disclose what we did. I personally have seen nothing at City Hall in this term so far that couldn't be disclosed publicly in any kind of contracted agreement. Good agreements deal with transparency very easily. We have said in our own strategic plan that we are committed to policies of transparency and accountability. We've underlined that, put it in bold, made it very clear this is one of our major policy issues. And I think it was unanimous that members of council supported that particular policy. Making agreements in secret and keeping them secret is totally against that policy. The problem I'm having with the motion right now is it seems to me we're not going to release stuff in the future. Well, I don't know what. Why would I tie my hands? And so, One thing I wanted to ask before I go further is, could I have the terms of the motion that's before us actually put up so I actually can see the exact wording?
Are you talking about what's in your kit on the first page?
My understanding, the mayor has made a motion that we're debating right now.
Yeah,
I need to see the wording of that motion.
that wording department, okay.
I don't want to say something that may be inaccurate.
Mr. Chair, the motion is exactly as it's written here. It says, shall not agree to include such a settlement agreement and confidentiality clause prohibiting the public disclosure of the terms of the settlement. It's right in the.
That's what I'm trying to clarify, Mr. Mayor. So we're actually, the motion the mayor is making, so I'm clear, because maybe I've been misunderstood it, is that the mayor is agreeing that the city shall not agree to conclude any such settlement agreements, a confidentiality clause in the future. Have I got that correct, Mr. Mayor?
I'm saying that we shall not disclose information. That's what I'm saying. Because, I mean, sorry, that was the question.
I'm just confused. The motion that was sent to us, and I'm reading it here, is that a Save Oshawa policy be enacted to ensure that with respect to any legal proceeding commenced by any party against the city, wherein the city reaches a settlement agreement, the city shall not agree to include in such a settlement agreement a confidentiality clause. The motion, that I believe I got it right, that the mayor is proposing is totally opposite of this particular motion.
Yes,
He is saying that we will keep it secret.
yes.
That's why I want the wording up, because, and that's why I'm arguing that I won't support the motion. If our negotiators know at the beginning of the process that secret negotiations, secret settlement terms, use a better word, secret settlement terms are not going to be allowed, then they approach negotiations with that in mind. And both parties know that step one in the process. Based on the motion that's currently before us, someone could enter into a settlement agreement, negotiate the settlement involving potentially the expenditure of public funds, and neither the council nor the public will ever know what those terms are. And that's the problem. What I'm arguing against is that the best way to avoid having to debate whether or not you want to release something or not is state at the beginning that you're not going to negotiate those terms at all. And the federal government, in many of its departments, except those regarding national secrets, follow this policy now. Many municipalities have passed bylaws and passed rules that say they will not participate in any settlement that involves secret terms. The public, I believe strongly, would never support any policy that says that any elected council or staff would be allowed to enter into the negotiation to develop terms involving expenditure of tax dollars, and no one gets to know what it is. And I can tell you, in this term of office, there have been reports that we as councillors can't see because of the terms that were passed in the settlement agreements by previous terms. Now, we can go back and argue the merits of that decision until we're blue in the face, but it's a moot point. I'm saying let's stop the process. There's no reason for a public body to have terms of a settlement in secret. No reason whatsoever. And that should be the policy of this council.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman, did you want to get your oar in the water? I know you have to leave.
Yeah, thank you. I
Dental
just,
mishap.
I like, we're making secret deals. It's confidentiality, and that's done in the legal world. I worked in that. I looked after the lawsuits that came to the police department. The problem is that if you don't have the confidentiality clause for certain items, some people won't settle for you because it's the other side that wants a confidentiality clause. But in other cases, it's like playing poker with all your cards up on the table as opposed to in your hand when you're doing the settlement, because now they become complete public knowledge as, oh, that last person got $50,000 and you're offering to settle with me the 10, I'm going to hold out for more money and or get it to court, because the settlements are usually done in this case without a judge doing the ruling, because the judge's ruling is public. If a judge orders the city to pay X amount of dollars, that's a public ruling, and that's not a confidentiality clause, right? But it's the settlements that, for insurance settlements, I don't think we can tell the region what to do because we're under the region's insurance pool now. But it's like publicizing to advertise in a little bit more about how you should go about suing the city and what you should get and what you should stay for, as opposed to the negotiations based on the merit of the court of the filing to get to a settlement before you take the matter to court, and it costs everybody a lot more money, and then a judge has to make a decision. So I will be supporting the mayor's motion. I think that makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any further, Councillor Nicholson?
Due respect to the previous speaker, you only get in trouble in settlement agreements if you allow yourself to be negotiated in confidential agreements. If you say from the beginning, I'm not going to negotiate under that term, then the negotiations flow from that point. The only reason a public body wants to negotiate a settlement in private, in secret, is that that public body doesn't want the terms released. It's as simple as that. If you're doing the right thing and the argument is that we're going to reach a settlement to pay X dollars in order to avoid future lawsuits, who's harmed by that becoming public? Not the person settling, they settled. Not the city, because they said that was a good settlement. There has to be check and balances in the public system. And every time you do something in secret, everything you do something where there's no check and balance, that leads to the potentiality of abuse. How do I, as a member of council, know whether or not a settlement is good or bad if I don't get a chance to see what the terms of the settlement are? And we have entered into settlement agreements that says, keep council in the dark. Now, we're supposed to be the trustees of the public purse. We're supposed to be the decision makers on these settlements. And councils have voted to support agreements they've never seen. They don't even know what the terms are. They just know there's been a settlement. And in some cases, settlement agreements have reached with a confidential clause that the council is not even asked to even comment upon or speak upon or even know about. You can't abdicate your role as an elected official by saying, I don't want to know. There's a reason why you have a check and balance system. And there's a reason why things should not be done in secret. I mean, there's nothing in the Municipal Act that mandates that these agreements must be confidential. That's for want of a better word, the Bible that we follow. That's the handbook that tells us what our roles and responsibilities are. But the key and absolute responsibility of a council is to oversee the financial health of the corporation. Right in the Act. There's only 5 rules that we have to follow, and that's one of them. And secret agreements with secret clauses are not in keeping with that particular oversight responsibility. I'm not going to fall into the trap of the scare tactics that's been used for generations to say everything should be kept secret because if we tell people, someone will take advantage of it. Well, if you make a good deal, what do you care what somebody knows or not? The only time that you have to be embarrassed by your settlement agreement is if you've given in to bad decisions or you've paid somebody exorbitant funds to go away. And I'm not willing to accept either one of those.
Councillor McConkie.
Thank you. I appreciate your words on that, Councillor Nicholson, because they make it pretty clear. But I want to add another point. We all make mistakes. But in order to learn from our mistakes, we have to see them. We have to be reminded of them when another situation and approach is similar and handle things differently. And the other point I want to make is this motion by the mayor that the city shall not disclose the terms in a settlement, that's pretty broad. Are you saying that we're never going to, I mean, the idea of the motion that's before us that you're putting a contrary motion to is, to be open and transparent. But this this shuts the door completely. I think you might want to reword that. I'm voting against it, but if that passes, you want everything to not be disclosed? I'm asking the mover of the motion. Thank you.
Members of committee, I understand everybody's strong desire to be absolutely open and transparent on everything, but I'd like to see this referred to legal, just because there's probably going to be a little, let's face it, people slip and fall. We're getting sued all the time. You may, in fact, find yourself bidding up the whole process. And is that really the desire of committee, is to make sure that residents get as big a settlement as possible? We set new bars all the time. I certainly don't want to see that happen. On big issues, is it fair that the public finds out? Yes, of course it is. But let's not be so careless that we find ourselves costing a lot of extra money unnecessarily. So I'd like to see all the legal ramifications and see if we can get some language at some point to help make these things more public. But just as I say, I don't want to bid up the whole, we're getting into liability season right now. And I rather suspect we're going to get sued again this winter like we do every year. So I think a referral to staff would be very, very helpful, so that when you make a decision, you're doing it with full knowledge and understanding of what you're doing. Councillor Marin Pietri.
I'll make the referral.
Thank you. On the referral.
And that they come back for the first meeting of January.
Well, let's find out if Mr. Yoon can get that one done. You're not going away for Christmas, I hope. Well, if you just refer to for some legal opinion, at least we'll have a better grasp of levels of, disclosure, the whole business. But goodness, you got to try and protect the corporation.
So we're referring the original motion, not the mayor's motion.
You're referring the whole thing over to legal?
The two motions, or just the motion that's on the agenda?
There's a motion that's on the table right now.
Well, don't we have to vote that down and refer the original motion?
No, you can still do a referral.
But it's both. We're referring both motions.
Well, basically, he's going to be giving you both sides.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was hoping to get something from.
Mr. Yoon?
Thank you.
Through the chair, just in terms of the timing of this report, I think given that staff members have vacation holidays that are coming up, it may be more realistic to have it, the report back by the first finance meeting of February 2020.
Okay. So could we get that Councillor Marin Pietri, are you able to just change it to that? Okay. So with the item coming back at the first meeting in February. Okay. Those in support of the referral, that's carried. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, as mentioned, I have to leave for a medical appointment. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we need to do our polls now. Councillor McConkie.
I'd like to pull FIN 1972, the property tax collection policy.
Yep.
And FIN 1997, the audit and accountability budget review results. And FIN 19106, the outstanding items status report. Thank you.
Okay. So I usually go to Councillor Nicholson to move the consent agenda, but everything has been pulled. So we'll go to 1972 first. Councillor McConkie, you pulled it, so I need you to move the report.
Yes, so moved.
Okay. You have the floor.
Thank you. I had some questions to staff about this, and there were a couple, if you don't mind. The question is, first, we have a current property tax collection policy for you, Mayor Gray, Chair Gray?
Here.
Through you, Chair Gray, we don't currently have anything formalized. This is the first of several policy reports that will be coming forward for taxation services. It is primarily legislation that is reflected in the policy along with some current city practices.
Thank you. I appreciate having it set out in a policy. I'd just like to know, through you, Chair Gray, to the Commissioner of Finance, where will this be on the website? I'm just hoping it's going to be easily accessible and wondering, I'm trying to find the city policies on different things, and I have to hunt for them, and a lot of times can't find them. So I just...
Through you, Chair Gray, it will be located in the taxation services section of the city's website.
And I wonder, through you, Mayor Gray, Chair Gray, sorry, if I could ask the Treasurer if she thought that maybe there might be one place for policies that the city has, if that would be helpful too, in addition to on the financial services website.
Through you, Chair Gray, I am not aware that there's a consolidated collection of city policies on the city website. That would not be up to finance services to administer.
If I could just follow up on that there was a discussion at corporate about, with the new reports that are going to take a while to put together, that may happen. So just hopefully that could also be included. And really the big question I had, and I don't see it in there, I understand that a new owner of property in the city, with their first tax bill, they are charged a specific amount, I don't know, $50, $25. That happened at one point in time, because I remember selling homes and people saying, oh, this isn't a really nice welcome to the city. We're having to pay, on top of the tax amount, an amount to set up the account, I think. I didn't see that in the policy. Is there such a new homeowner charge?